What's happening, sports fans? Welcome to the schedule release bit we're doing here with Alec Lewis of The Athletic and theathletic.com. Alec, it's the best time of the year. Why? Because we're this much closer to football season. The baseball season is this much closer to being over, and we're almost to fall, which is the best season of the year. I have the schedule right here. You have not seen it. I'm going to read the games off. You just tell me your quick 30 to 40 seconds, and we'll move on.
I'm ready to rock. Baseball took a stray, but let's get right to it. Why not?
As I have a Twins hat on. But so if after the schedule, after this is done, where can we read all your stuff?
Yeah, right for The Athletic, cover the team day to day. And then I have my own podcast that you can find on the iHeart Radio network called The Alec Lewis Show. But you said it. It's a fun time of year. You get to start thinking about travel and visiting a ton of cities. But obviously, I don't know where I'm going. So you're going to let me know, and we're going to unpack it as quick as we can here.
All right, week 1, the Minnesota Vikings play the Chicago Bears on Monday Night Football at 7:15 p.m.
Yeah, I mean, you really can't. J.J. McCarthy grew up about 30 minutes from Soldier Field. This guy played high school football there. His family still lives not very far from there. It's just such a juicy opener, in my opinion. You obviously have Ben Johnson debuting with that offense and Colston Loveland, who was one of J.J. McCarthy's former and closest teammates at Michigan. It's just, I imagine would agree. But to have that game Monday night with the storylines with J.J.'s debut, I really can't think of much better, frankly.
And from a selfish sports fan that I am, we get the whole week 1 all week to watch football, and then we get to wait all night for Monday night. So it'll be a great week 1 of football.
I didn't even think about that. Yeah, Thursday night, Friday night,
correct.
And then you get all Sunday, and then I might be up writing until 4 a.m. Tuesday morning. But it's for the love of the game at that point.
Yeah,
so
there's nothing better.
Week
2, Sunday Night Football at 7:20. Your Minnesota Vikings host Michael Penix and the Atlanta Falcons.
Have the Atlanta Falcons ever been on Sunday Night Football? No, I'm kidding. For me, this is probably the best indication of what we know here, which is there is incredible intrigue both for this team and for this young quarterback. I mean, to follow up Monday night with Sunday night, and then to have him going up against a young player in Michael Penix, who was in the same draft, who was picked ahead of J.J. McCarthy in that draft. And you have a Falcons team with a new defensive coordinator whose son may or may not do some prank calling. That's a fun one for sure.
Week 3, the best quarterback they see so far out of the first 3 weeks. They host Cincinnati, a noon game, and that Triple Crown wide receiver will come to town.
Yeah, I mean, Jamar Chase against Justin Jefferson. That's the headliner. These two guys were in college at LSU at the same time. Very different in that quarterback room when you talk to people and hear stories. But, I mean, for me, Joe Burrow in his processing ability against Brian Flores' defense with this front, I mean, it's going to be very interesting. But you also have a Bengals defense in very much question right now with where Trey Hendrickson is at. But, I'll just say this. Like, it's not it's not an easy just throw out the ball and it's an easy stretch to begin. I mean, you can have a lot of opinions about Atlanta and their defense and Chicago. I mean, because of Ben Johnson, maybe the media hype is above and beyond. But this is not an easy start to the season, and it's probably not going to get a lot easier given the schedule.
And then you're the 2 games we knew already. The week 4, you go to Dublin, and you're technically the road team against Pittsburgh, and then you fly about an hour to London and you battle Cleveland, and as you battled before overseas in London. The Vikings are the first team in NFL history to play back-to-back games in 2 different European cities.
Yeah, I've seen some people on Twitter and social media and in the comments who aren't happy about this, and maybe it's my selfishness.
Are you wanting to go? You'll go, right?
I definitely want to go. I'd love to go, but I mean, really, like, I just go back to being at Tottenham last year. That was a home game. I know the Vikings were the home team in that game, but I mean, this team has a ton of fans overseas. They care deeply about growing the international fan base, and I mean, the player really one of the underrated aspects for me is like the player bonding of a trip like that. It just brings some of these teams closer together. And by the end of the season, you need to have kind of that special chemistry medal. So I'm all for that. And those are two teams that are those are winnable games.
Week 6 is a bye week, so that's great. That'll be fun. Everybody
More
loves
football to watch.
More football to watch, correct? And then you come back after the long European road trip, the bye, and then you host Philly. The one part about this, Alec, that surprises me is it's a noon game at US Bank Stadium.
Yeah, it doesn't make much sense why
it's a marquee
that would
team, man.
Why that
Super
would be a
Bowl
noon
champs.
game. But I mean, the Eagles were the best defense in the NFL last year. All you needed to do was watch the Super Bowl, but they've got the young corners, Quinyon Mitchell, Cooper DeJean, Vic Fangio as the DC. They lost some, front players on their front, but I mean, stopping Saquon Barkley is going to be a challenge. The Vikings-Eagles matchup, since I've been covering the beat, have obviously not gone the Vikings' way. They will be very motivated going into that game, regardless of how the first 6 weeks have played out. I just know that because I know how this team, this staff feels about those matchups in years past. But yeah, I don't know. It's kind of crazy. I can't believe that's not at least an afternoon Fox game or something.
Correct.
Like
Week 8, I think it's the exact same game they played last year at the exact same week. They go to the Los Angeles Chargers for Thursday night football. You play the Super Bowl champs and you get on a plane on a Wednesday and you play a tough game against a Chargers team, but JJ McCarthy against Harbaugh.
Yeah, I mean that's the headline is you got the coach who loves the kid and the kid getting to play a Chargers team that's pretty formidable. And I just think about the physicality of this stretch, the 10 days. The Eagles defense, the Chargers, their offensive line, what they do in the run game, it's not easy. But, for me, hopefully this time around, Thursday night in LA, you don't get an injury to your left tackle who's a superstar, and Jalen Naylor catches a pass over the middle of the field in the red zone. Those two things hopefully go the positive way, and whether it's the red eye back or just normalcy, the Vikings fly back happy. That's for sure.
And then you go to Detroit after that mini bye week. That is also, weirdly enough, a noon game.
Doesn't make any sense. No. But just think about this stretch right here. It's Philly at home, short week, Chargers on the road to Detroit. This is. It
gets worse.
Okay, we're about to find out about it, but it's Detroit. It will be very interesting to see. Obviously, you're at the halfway point at that juncture of the season. What the NFC North picture looks like at that point. You could tell me anything. If the Vikings are leading, if the Packers, if the Bears, this division is just. It could go any way, and I could probably understand it.
And then at noon, Week 10, Baltimore.
So it's Philly, Chargers on a Thursday night. Yeah, this is this is for the big boys. This is not for the faint of heart. No. Brian Flores in the past, there was a game years ago where Brian Flores, I think, played cover 0 blitz all against Lamar 30 snaps in a game. So I don't know if I've ever seen Lamar in person. I don't think I have. I can't wait for that. Even though sweet. It's that is not going to be.
And Derrick Henry just got a brand new contract.
yeah. Derrick Henry, new contract. That defense they drafted Malachi Starks in the first round. This is that 4-game stretch. I'd have to go back and look. But in Kevin O'Connell's 3 years thus far, I'm not sure if there's been a 4-game stretch with that level of just opponent over that span.
That's tough. And then Week 11 noon game. You finish off the Chicago Bears already by Week 11.
Yeah, I similar to the conversation after Week 9 with the Lions, I'll just be fascinated to see what the Bears are at that point in the year. There's been so much hype around the Bears offseason, as there usually is, with new interior players, with Ben Johnson and what they might do with Loveland and Luther Burden drafting. But that would be one probably coming off that 4-game stretch that this team's going to need to win.
And then you go to Green Bay, noon game. The weather will probably not be as, they've played them early in the year a lot. This will be a tough game on the road in Green Bay, but at noon, that'll be super fun.
I heard Louis, I think, crying in the background as you
he
brought that one up. So
wants.
no, but I mean, really, he knows this matchup.
Well, he knows that's the first time he's got to decide who he wants to cheer for in this household because his grandma is a diehard Packer fan, and so is his mom. So he knows that's a big day for him.
I was looking at the Packers just real quick recently, and I mean, their cornerback situation is still a question to me. Their defensive line is still a question to me. I mean, they drafted the receivers, but and their offensive line is in an interesting spot.
The quarterback's a question.
The quarterback, I mean, I've said this many times on the air in the past, on KFAN. Like, sometimes I watch him, I think he's unbelievable. Sometimes I watch him, I'm like, what in the world is going on? Yeah. So the Packers are interesting. They really are. In any way the season goes for them, I'd probably understand it.
And the greatest tradition of it all, Alec, at Seattle. They always play at Seattle. COVID year, they played at Seattle. Last year, they played at Seattle, but this one's got a little bit of a twist to it because Sam Darnold will most likely, unless it's Jalen Milroe, will most likely be the quarterback in Seattle.
Right. I mean, the worst case scenario at this point would be if something happens to JJ and Sam Howell gets the return game against the. I'm just we're not going there. But yeah, Sam Darnold obviously being in Seattle with Clint Kubiak. I mean, that team's made some interesting moves this offseason. Geno has been an effective quarterback. They moved off Geno. They've made a ton of different moves, and then the popular mock pick locally before the Vikings draft, Nicky Manwari plays for the Seahawks. So Vikings fans can wave to him after him not being on this team.
Week 14, the rookie of the year comes into US Bank Stadium. Another quarterback from the J.J. McCarthy draft, Jaden Daniels, and the Washington Commanders roll in town week 14 to December 7th.
Yeah, it's not an easy one.
That'll be I can't wait for that game.
Yeah, it's an electric matchup. I know that. I mean, Kevin O'Connell really liked Jaden Daniels leading up into that draft and has the utmost respect for him. It's also Jonathan Allen's first time here against his former team, so that'll be pretty interesting. But I mean, the Commanders have high expectations, so just like a lot of these games, I mean, there's just no – I remember last year you looked at the AFC South, and it's like Titans, Jaguars, Colts, Texans in some way. Like, you can feel pretty good about some of these matchups. Last year specifically, there's just not that many of those on this schedule. They're just – I mean, other than the Europe stretch, which is interesting unto itself, there's just no guarantees here, which, I mean, it's the NFL. That's how they want it.
Correct. Final 4 games. You ready? At Dallas on Sunday Night Football. So that's the most overrated team in the history of American sports. That's a Sunday night game. That will be tough. These are tough games. And then probably, who knows, the interim head coach and Dart will be at quarterback. You play at the New York Giants, noon game, December 21st.
Yeah, whichever quarterback is playing for New York against Brian Flores' defense that week, I feel bad for them.
That's a guaranteed Vikings win. And then the final 2 games, Louis' first Christmas with his Packer grandma in town. They host the Detroit Lions on Thursday on Thanksgiving. They're the sandwich between the first game and then I think is it Chiefs and Broncos is the night game?
I think that's correct. Yeah. I mean, it feels to me like the NFL, before they made this schedule, they got those wizards behind the scenes or whatever. They're like, every big moment, big game, big holiday, we're just stacking it with rivalries. They know what they're doing. I mean, these guys, they're experts. But that is, I mean, I'm sorry, Mom, probably won't be there on Christmas. And then as far as everything else, we'll figure it out. But that is, that'll be a wild, fun affair in US Bank Stadium.
And I would bet the Wolves right down the street will be hosting a Christmas Day game.
That's
They
probably
become
right.
a marquee
Anthony
team.
Edwards, yeah. Anthony Edwards, with what he's done, there's absolutely no way the NBA leaves that out. So yeah,
Correct.
I mean, this is I was having a conversation. This is another topic for another day, but I mean, depending on what happens with JJ here, I mean, this could be golden age type stuff. So let's just monitor it.
Final game, which I think is the weirdest one, and we can spend the next minute on this and then bid you adieu, and you can do all your athletic and podcast stuff. They host the Packers at home. Here's why that's weird. It's TBD because you don't know if it's going to be the third or the fourth. You don't know if it's going to mean anything. It's weird to have one of the best rivalries in football possibly be a meaningless game.
The hope would be that it's last year's week 18. Well, and if it plays out that way, and I wouldn't be shocked. I mean, if you get to that point and the game really does matter, and holy cow, last year I was shaking before that week 18 game, so it would be very fun. But it would be kind of anticlimactic if you get there and starters are resting or what have you for the playoffs. So it's a little bit of an odd one, but it feels like every year. I mean, these two teams seem to play very late. I don't know if last year was week 17. I remember 2 years ago, Jaron Hall was playing against the Packers.
Oh,
yeah.
So,
yes. I'll tell you, just like quick fire reaction. I mean, this is kind of like with that midseason stretch, but this is put your big boy pants on.
This is brutal. This is brutal.
Yeah. But it's fun. Like, I mean,
correct.
You want to be tested. And I will say, like, is week 1 for JJ McCarthy probably going to be the easiest test? No. Now, it is nice to come back home, play against an Atlanta defense that has been pretty terrible. The Bengals defense is potentially in kind of a disarray. And then those next two opponents have solid defenses. But you would hope that, like, those first 6 weeks, just JJ McCarthy, just find your footing. That's kind of, for me, the way I'm looking at it. And then as long as the defense can do what I think all of us will believe that Brian Flores' defense can do and kind of just stabilize things, it sets up for a fun stretch over the middle and back.
You're going to have a bunch of stuff. Where can we find it all?
Yeah, theathletic.com, where I write, and also those better than me, John Krasinski and Michael Russo, covering their teams, do as well. Dan Hayes on the Twins. I know I can see the hat. You're a gigantic fan. And then we're going to have I'll do some Alec Lewis Show podcasts on the iHeart radio app. But, we'll have probably 2, 3 months, 4 months to dissect this thing every single way. And I can't wait for it. This is the NFL validated everything we know here, and that this is a very potentially, competitive team and very interesting team. And so it's good to see that they notice, the national folks. It's good to see it.
It'll be fun. And you could see Aaron Rodgers in Dublin.
I could see Aaron Rodgers in Dublin. You
might have a better chance seeing Van Morrison, but you never know.
Yeah, Aaron Rodgers. I could see Aaron Rodgers at this point.
Who knows?
Yeah. I don't.
Right,
we've exhausted that.
It's a wonderful time of year. This is. Thank you for joining me. This schedule is out. You can find it all over KFAN.com. Alec Lewis of The Athletic. It'll be awesome. And the best part, Alec, is now that we're done, I get to go watch every single schedule release video, because the best one of all time, and it's not even close, was when the Tennessee Titans had random drunks in Nashville guess the team. Brilliant.
Like, I have all
Chargers
due
are always
respect.
greasy.
Yeah, I have respect for the Chargers, but that Nashville one,
so
that
good. So good.
You still watch that and you can laugh. So yeah.
And which is
I
like
can
the
just imagine
Cowboys, and it's
you're
the
gonna be
Colts,
scrolling.
so good.
You're gonna be scrolling on, trying to watch Tatum Everett talking in the Vikings facility until the Wolves tip off at 8:30. So
it'll be great. You're the best.
Thanks, Sauce.
Bye.